Sometimes it's hard to be a woman, giving all your love to just one man.
There were times when she would be overwhelmed by feeling. She would stand there like a statue, and you'd know something was happening in the depths of her.
Good times.
Sometimes she would just back away from the microphone and couldn't continue.
I'll need time
This was a person of very deep feeling.
to get you off my mind.
I remember seeing her teetering on a stool with the high heels and this totally manufactured plastic peroxide image poured out of the Barbie mold.
That's too much of you from time.
And then this voice, this amazing voice that came out over the top of it. Such a mass of contradictions.
As a singer, she was pretty genius and could sing really loud and really forcefully and still be vulnerable.
'Cause when she played house,
Tammy never knew she was a star.
No, she didn't. She really didn't.
She never knew she was a star, ever.
Tammy kept her beautician's license because she had in the back of her mind the notion that maybe this whole career could just end and she might have to go back to working on people's hair.
She had the beauty, the talent. She sang like a bird. You know, there's nobody greater. I just felt kind of sorry for her.
You've been married 5 times. I mean, that's extraordinary.
I'm a firm believer in marriage, whether it
You obviously are.
I wanted her to find happiness. If it meant her being married 10 times, then that was fine.
Stand By Your Man was a reflection of Tammy's background. Most everybody's background in that period. Maybe that was why it caused such a controversy, because women were rebelling against that attitude.
It was such a powerful song. But it was saying everything that I wanted to smack her in the teeth for.
She is not the victim. She is singing this as total heroine. And it's that contradiction, that makes that record one of the best records ever made.
keep giving all the love you can.
She literally walked through hell to become Tammy Wynette.
Tammy was born Virginia Wynette Pugh on a farm in Mississippi during World War II.
Her grandfather owned a lot of farmland. She was a lot better off than some of her friends and people down there, but I'm sure it was very difficult. In the 40s and 50s, that was a tough time.
There's a lot of land here. I don't know how many acres, but there's a lot of land here. And it was all in cotton and corn. She wasn't too proud of it sometimes, but she did pick.
Her father died of a brain tumor when she was 9 months old. He was 26.
Tammy's father was a real musician, and he never had a music lesson in his life. That was all natural. But this was the living room. Tammy bought them 2 chandeliers. I wouldn't have thought about them being there now. Kind of shocked me. But that's been a long time, hasn't it? It makes me want to get in there, but I'm sure this door... Oh, come in.
I still have his guitar, his mandolin, and this piano. This piano is where he sat 2 weeks before he died. He was totally blind and placed my hands on the keys and laughed and said, if she has any talent at all, see that she has lessons. And
Her father's death had a major role on her as an adult. I believe that that's why she, you know, went from the men to men that she did. I don't think she ever found the happiness that she wanted. She was always looking for that support that she probably, you know, would have gotten from her father, but never had the opportunity.
I guess the same old station isn't there anymore.
After her father's death, her mother, Mildred, went off to Memphis to work in a munitions factory. Wynette stayed on the farm with her grandparents. As her father had wished, her mother paid for piano lessons.
The man that taught the lesson said, "Hazel, Mildred's wasting her money." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I can give her a song and play it one time." And he said, "She can play it for me before she leaves me." She was just a musician, like her daddy.
When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away, fly away, fly away.
Wynette used to sing in church. The Baptist preacher had a radio show, and she got to sing on it.
To a land where joy shall never end, I'll fly away.
By the time she was a teenager, her mother had moved back to the farm.
She was a really rambunctious child. I think my grandmother had her hands full. My grandmother was a very, very tough woman. As we were growing up, we were petrified of her because she was so, you know, she could be very, you know, strong. I think it was very difficult because they were two strong-willed women. I think they kind of butted heads.
They really clashed when she got together with Upal Bird.
They got into a big fight about her dating Upal, who was an older man. He'd been in the army, so that made him seem dangerous.
Mom got married to get away from my grandmother.
At 17, Wynette left school to marry and had her first child 6 months later. Now she really was poor.
She lived in a house down there that was, you know, no running water and no heat. She realized I might have had it pretty good where I was, but she was just so determined to do what she wanted to do.
In 1962, she had her second daughter, Jackie.
When my mom was married to my dad, he would just take whatever job he could find, and I think he and my mom fought quite a bit. We weren't living in the best of conditions.
To make ends meet, she started training as a beautician. In 1963, they moved to Memphis. They rented an apartment in a seedy part of town. Wynette got a job as a barmaid.
She had never even been inside a bar because she was raised by people who did not drink at all. It was against their religion. The husband and wife who owned this place allowed her to sing for the customers, which is the first time she'd ever really sang anywhere except in church.
When the sky turns to silver just before dark, and the night comes to haunt me again, when gone is the memory of a satisfied